Hello and welcome to This Is Not a Podcast. The following program is uncensored. It contains strong language and adult content not suitable for children under the age of 18. Listener discretion is strongly advised. The views and opinions expressed on the show are solely of the hosts and guests and are not the opinions of Studio 6.2 Enterprises, jjlunfiltered Studios, the Locked and Loaded Game Network, TKM Studios, the Pixel Guys, Texas A&M University's affiliate subsidiaries, students, faculty, or staff. You have been warned. I'm Jay Jones.
I'm Anna Davidson.
This is a podcast. Welcome to episode 0. I don't care what it says on there. It's episode 0. We haven't done episode 1 yet. We'll get there. Don't worry about it. Anna.
All right. So what we're going to discuss tonight is personal development from your 20s to your 30s.
Ooh.
So I thought that could be open-ended, something everybody could relate to.
Right.
Well, a good proportion of the population.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, well, for one, since we were just talking about it, let's go random.
Let's do it.
I have always been pro dumpster diving. And
oh, man. I used to do that.
So let me say that the majority of my 20s, like one of the defining characteristics of my 20s was dumpster diving.
Yes.
And I know it is illegal to sort through trash, but
it's illegal if you get caught.
I've always been libertarian before I was libertarian. Like, if it is a victimless crime, don't do it maliciously. Don't be going through somebody's personal shit. But,
right. If it's like at an apartment complex or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah. Like
100% if it's outside the dumpster, it is fair game.
Oh yeah.
And a little bit inside the dumpster if it's
shit.
Very clear what it is.
Like when people leave stuff.
This is a college town. They throw away so much good shit.
For context, we're in Bryan College Station, Texas, and it's home to this great university we call Texas A&M University. It's a great university. It's totally a great university. I'm ordered to say that. I mean, it's totally my opinion.
Well, I work for a state agency. I didn't go here for school, but
neither did I.
It's a pretty campus.
I graduated from Lamar University. Go Cardinals. Anyway.
So there are some things you just don't outgrow.
Correct.
But there are some that you do. So I used to put up with a lot more bullshit.
Did you?
I did.
Tell me a story.
I cowed down a lot more. I was more timid, more shy, more scared to speak up for myself.
And let me tell you, folks, when I met her, I would not have known that. I would not have figured that out.
You give me the impression that my kids do when they're like, "You were a kid once?"
You were a kid once? You were born once before?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
There are times that, it's well out of mind who I used to be. And I don't feel there was a dramatic difference in, like, my core self. But
right.
There's a lot of attributes that have changed.
Okay.
So, say, like, being younger,
yes.
I got sexually harassed a lot. And did I ever speak up for myself? No, not really. I quit a job.
So,
I walked out of a job and
right.
never went back because I got cornered in a kitchen. Do you think that shit would happen now?
Probably not.
No.
So I guess with whatever limits you can put on this, I'm not gonna force you to go into details, but if you were the Anna now that you were 10 years ago or so,
okay,
would you have would you, I don't want to say allowed to happen, Because that's not right.
No, I know what you mean. I know what you mean, and I'm not offended at all.
Because I'm trying to word it in a way that doesn't seem like I'm trying to be a dick or anything. It's just like, if it happened...
Suffer in silence.
Right.
I totally know. Yeah, we've spoken enough that I kind of get the vibe that you're on.
Like, it's like... Because here's my thing on it. When it comes to, like, sexual assault, rape, sexual violence, things like that, I don't like it, right? Like, I don't like the idea of it.
Let's put it out there for man, woman, anyone.
Yes.
It's not okay.
Correct.
So this is not, it can't happen to a man. I'm not.
It definitely can happen to a man.
Absolutely.
And what's
so I just wanted to make a little segue there.
Right. And what's worse is
continue.
that less men are able to, well, they're not, it's not like they're not able to. It's like less men are taken seriously.
Correct, and I'm not okay with that.
What I hate is the fact that
this is very integral to being a young adult.
Right.
It's so prevalent. That's very relevant to our theme.
And it's especially here, I have learned this so much here in this college town. Like, you've only been here, what, 10, 11 years?
10 years.
I have been here my entire 33 years on this earth.
Uh-huh.
And I've gone to Northgate. Like, for those who don't live near where we are, Northgate is like a row of bars along, at the university, across from the university.
Yeah, so in several other cities I've lived in, there was always a 5 Points. And that was where the bars were. That's the equivalent of Northgate here.
Yeah. And just like I have seen it's like I can tell when I can tell when you see that type of person that wins my next opportunity to strike, right? Like I've seen that before.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'll tell you this: I did an Uber ride. This was like a couple of nights before I graduated from Lamar, actually. I picked up a couple of people, and I told them I couldn't pick up more than like 4 people, right?
Okay.
Because if someone were to sit on someone's lap in the car, police would ticket me for whatever.
Absolutely.
And I would be like, well, you're paying for the ticket because you violated the law. But, so I went, dropped them off, came back with one other person, and I saw these men. They were just standing in front of this random apartment complex. And it's a complex right behind Northgate. And I see him standing there. And I mean, straight up goes on a woman.
Okay.
In the face. And tries to openly commits sexual assault on someone.
Okay.
Openly tries to rape someone. And I see it. And then one of the girls that were there, I had picked up. And I was like, fuck this. I'm reporting this to the cops.
Mm-hmm.
And so at the time I had this, I had like the OnStar stuff.
Okay.
And so I called up OnStar. I was like, listen, I need to get in contact with CSPD. There's like these people here. Luckily, there was a CSPD cop that pulled by, and I flagged them down. I was like these guys are trying to actively rape women.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I actively saw it. And I had never been so enraged, so sad, and so scared in my life. And I drove those guys to their apartment. And, you know, I made sure that she was okay. I mean, she was crying, like she was bawling.
Okay.
Like just flooded with tears and everything. And I don't blame her. That shit is scary. That is incredibly scary. And I look at it in two different ways, because here I am, a 29-year-old man that's been through all this shit, that's seen all this shit.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I need to get up and act.
Okay.
Looking at this young, probably 21, 22, 23-year-old girl that does not know what to do next.
Right.
You know? And so in that time of all that adrenaline pumping, I got her home, and I shit you not, I went to the McDonald's that was right there at Northgate,
mm-hmm.
and I had a panic attack, like anxiety attack, like I did not know how to feel. And I told my sister, I was like, I am not coming home. I need to drive a little bit more. Like,
driving can be good for the soul, yeah.
I can't sleep. It was graduation day. I was like, you know what? I'll pick up some people, get them to graduation, calm my nerves. Like, I didn't get home till like 9 that morning. I was out all night. Like, I did not sleep. So I've seen it happen.
Right. And it's unfortunate that it kind of feels like a rite of passage, that it's so prevalent that, to me, you know, my personal opinion, it feels like that is part of the fabric of womanhood.
Mm-hmm.
Having been through that.
Like,
repeatedly.
So I guess,
and it is by no means a flattering thing, because
right,
I've had men that were very, very old try to take advantage of me. Coworkers try to take advantage of me. Complete strangers when I was all alone, and you fear for your safety.
Right. Which I think is a shitty thing to deal with, right?
Yeah.
You look at today's times and you're just thinking to yourself, here's where adolescents at the time, we were 20 or 21, 22, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
At that time, I probably would not have known what to do at that point. I mean, at that point, I would have frozen. I probably would have frozen. And I would have felt bad doing so.
Yeah.
You know, I would not have known what to do. Brain would have drawn a blank.
And I'm not shaming anybody that is also in that position of, oh my God, this is happening. This can't be happening, but this is happening.
Because you don't know what to do. You don't know what to do.
Sometimes you are genuinely afraid for your safety if you protest or fight back.
Right. It's a fear.
Yeah.
And so, and it brings me back to today. You know how people always sit here and they're like, oh, you're following what the doctors order, or what the CDC is saying, or what the WHO is saying. You're just gonna live in fear, or no, cops are bad. You're just listening to all the media and it's bad. You're living in fear. Be a black. I'm like, you don't fucking know what fear means.
Right.
You don't know what it means to live in fear. And I hate it when people tell me that. Oh, you're just living in fear. I'm like, nah, bitch. You don't know what fear is like.
For a variety of reasons, people can live in an extended period in horrendous situations.
Yes.
It can be poverty, abuse.
Yes. So, let me ask you this. Was there at one of those times that, you know, when that type of stuff was happening to you, did you ever have that instinct of where you would be able to get up and be like, okay, I got that, get the fuck out, you know? Did you ever, did you have a feeling that something like that was gonna happen, and then you were just like, okay, I gotta find an escape route?
Okay, so...
You know what I mean? Have you ever had one of those?
Each time really was a surprise for me.
Okay.
When the situation arose.
Right.
But my thinking in the moment was actually very strategic. So my coping mechanism was I was generally alone. I was generally very vulnerable. Let me not alienate this person because I fear they will retaliate.
Right.
So I would be as diplomatic as possible.
Right.
And either kind of politely find a way out. Oh, I need to go. I have something, you know, I'm late to this, or just I would make excuses. I would get out at earliest opportunity. Right. But I was so strategic not to alienate someone because I feared retaliation. Right. And that it would be physical.
Right.
More physical than it was.
Right.
More physically aggressive. It was plenty physical and not...
It was already bad enough that it was physical.
Right.
But you didn't want it to turn into...
aggressive.
Oh, fuck, aggressive. I might die.
Or just... even if it's just like be held down.
Right. You didn't want to be in a pinning predicament where you lost all of the control.
I was generally cornered, groped, felt up, you know, like had them in my ear, or, you know, putting their hands where I didn't want them. But I never, well, I can't say never, had anybody really pin me.
Okay.
Because come to think of it, I've been physically held down and forced. But isn't it weird how the brain kind of like walls that off?
Yes.
And yes. I'm totally cool talking about this, and I like won't come to tears talking about this.
Like,
but yeah, I was strategic.
I see what you mean.
So you pretty much get my answer.
Like, I see what you mean, and it brings me back to, I used to live in Calvert for like 11 years. I have straight up blocked that part of my mind out.
Right. There's certain things that don't bubble up unless you go down that road of revisiting something very specific.
Right. See, I can never experience. I have never experienced what it is like to be sexually assaulted. Mm-hmm. I hope I never feel that. I hope no one else ever feels that. Unfortunately, it'll happen, right? But just being bullied.
Oh, thank God.
How many times...
I never got bullied, so you tell me your experience being bullied.
So...
It's kind of the same shit.
Yes.
I got intimidated in a certain way. You had people try to impose themselves on you in a certain way.
How many times... I couldn't tell you how many times living in Calvert, hell, even up here in Bryan, how many times people would sit there and be like, and they'd be like, oh, look at the retard over there. Oh, look at that stupid little retard over there. Or they mimic me doing something or whatever because I wasn't a part of the group. And it was worse in Calvert because, yes, I am a black guy, but I did not act like most of the other black guys in Calvert. Most of the black guys in Calvert were what your stereotypical black man would be. I was not one of them. And the fact that it wasn't that I was even properly thinking about it so much as this was more of I subconsciously wanted to be me.
Okay.
And in some ways, yes, I kind of egged that bullying or brought that bullying on to me. But at the same time, it was just like, why is it because I'm different that you gotta treat me like shit? And it's worse. I'll tell you, I've worked up until the current job. I've worked no matter where I was, where people would treat me would think of me as intimidating, would think of me as this scary big black dude that's gonna do something.
From what I've heard, it sounds like they scapegoated you.
Yes.
For a lot.
My very first job, I was at KBTX, and my friend Cody, we've been through a lot. I don't know what he had done, but it pissed me off that I yelled at him. And one of the anchors had, just got freaked out that I yelled.
Okay.
And it's just like, wow, I'm not allowed to be fucking angry. And I got a chewing out, by my boss at the time. But it's just like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. I used to work at Reed Arena, and the reason I stopped working there is not because I had necessarily quit, even though the records will show that I actually quit. I actually
resigned.
Thank you. But I'll tell you what they told me. They said that they made a bunch of stupid claims. Okay, they said I had made cat calls to the dance team. And for those of you wondering, Reader is where they have basketball, volleyball, all types of events there. And they thought I made cat calls to the dance team. I didn't even so much as look at them, much less make cat calls to them. Like, I don't care about them.
So these accusations were just hearsay.
They were hearsay. They said that they also said that that I had made some sort of offensive comment to one of the lady Aggie coaches that were coming in from, like, I guess halftime or whatever. And I was like, I don't even know who they are, much less wants to make any type. The only person I knew on the Aggie, like on the women's basketball team, was Gary Blair, and I didn't even say a word to him. God love Gary Blair though. I love Gary Blair. I love my community. I tell you, my brother Jeb Blair. Gotta get him to help you out. JMD Propane. But Jesus, brother. Anyway, I ADD'd. But my point is, like, then they thought I had said one other thing. I don't remember what it was. But I came in, had just finished working, and they said, oh, you don't work here anymore. Like, I'm going to have to let you go. But we're going to write it off as being resigned. You actually put in your 2 weeks.
So it sounds like either you...
They forced me to quit.
Yeah,
basically.
Exactly. So we're making these accusations, and you can either resign, or we're going to fire you with these reasons documented.
And it was just like, it was me against Aggie Athletics. And unfortunately, I would have never won. I know I would have never won.
Right.
There was no way. So, I mean, it's so bad. Like, and as I learned these mistakes, from these things, like, one of the longest jobs I've had so far, working in IT over on the main campus is, I'm a friendly person, right? Like,
yes,
I'm a friendly person, and yes, I know that sometimes I tend to be affectionate, and I try my hardest not to do it at work. But some people were like, "Oh, you were over standing over someone, and they were intimidated by you." I'm like, really? Really? Me standing over someone is intimidating. What? Did I make a noise to them? Or one of my more recent jobs, I was fired. The only time I was ever fired. Now, I admit there are things that I did that kind of screwed it up. Like, I called someone, I said that one person was being a bitch because they had a bad attitude. They were treating us like shit, And then they reported me for asking about a person's shirt size, which little did I realize was a thing that you could get reported on. Or the fact that I said that I liked somebody. excuse me for having a crush on somebody. Or I was trying, and I admit the only thing that I know I did that I knew I should have done better was when I saw someone looking on their phone in the control room where we had a no phone policy after a certain time, and they were still on their phone. Little did I know that they were looking at stuff because they had a relative passing away. But still, to me, that looks like you're breaking the policy. Like, how do you get special treatment over me? You know? And so it was stuff like that. And like, I had lost my job. Then those 3 months without having a job were the worst. I couldn't get unemployment. I had no money. Like, none.
Okay, so being in poverty, very poor, that is a common theme of your 20s.
Yes.
Well, of plural you, yes. Universal you of your 20s.
God, go over. I'm just kidding. No, but yeah.
Mine as well. Shitty jobs that you have to put up with.
You've been in shitty. We've both been in shitty jobs.
Yeah, we've been in shitty jobs. But what you were saying, like particular to that, the double standards of how people might treat you versus me.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, you're a big black dude, so it's all seen differently. Like, nobody listening can see you unless they already know you.
Right. And I one thing I've done now is just like, especially at work, I don't even so much as put my hand anywhere near someone else's body unless they want me to or they initiate contact. Like, it sucks that I have to do that.
So we're IT. So there's going to be a lot of times you have to lean over somebody.
Right.
If you're trying to help troubleshoot. And if you do it, would be perceived like wildly different than if I do.
And that's why a lot of times I'll just sit down.
Right.
Because I don't want people to be like,
or may I take your spot? Or, yeah.
He's intimidating.
Yeah.
I have to sit down.
Mm-hmm.
I have to sit down and not be that intimidating.
Mindful of your
appearance.
Your bodily attitude, yeah.
Yeah. And to some people that would look like, oh, you're being a jerk. You're not letting the customer sit down. No, I'm doing that so I cover my ass.
Uh-huh.
You know? Whereas someone like you, they would just be like, they wouldn't bat an eye.
No.
Which is sad.
Right. So, we've got a lot of stuff in common, but this is wildly different.
Right.
Yeah. So, like, you and me leaving work here.
Yes.
And the cops eyeballing us. And we're joking, but it's a dark joke that has, you know, a lot of seriousness in it. Oh, I wonder if they're thinking, like, oh, does that poor woman need help or something?
Right.
Because, like, to some people, we would look like unlikely friends.
Right.
Like, whereas you and me, like, you can be fucking friends with anybody.
You know.
We're coworkers. Now, I know it's, like, kind of suspicious that I have weird hours and work late. But, you know, it's unfortunate.
Yeah.
That, like, that cop watched us leave.
It's pretty sad.
And when I took off in my car, they leave.
Yeah, like, literally the second you left.
It was more than coincidence, yeah.
And I was just like, are you fucking kidding me? Yeah, let me tell you, I'm going to take advantage of this person when it's well lit.
But
there's probably cameras looking at me.
Had it been, like, sorry to say, like, one of the student workers, that they wouldn't think twice.
They would have just been like, oh, okay.
Oh,
moved along.
They're taking a walk together.
It's sad. It's really sad.
Like, thanks for watching out for me, but that was very telling.
Yeah. And that's the thing, you know. Whenever I walk out with you, is because, not just because, like, I don't want to say that
it's company, but it's also appreciated that you watch my back for me.
Yes. It's like, I want to make sure you're safe, but I also want company.
Yeah.
I want company more than I want, it's not like
the
I don't want to
primary
keep...
reason. The
primary reason
is like, hey, let's leave together and we'll talk. But, secondary reason is Like, you can walk me to my car and make sure I'm good for the evening. And I appreciate that.
Here's a thing that I hate. Here's a really big thing that I hate. I try to do chivalrous things, and I do it subconsciously.
Uh-huh.
Right?
Oh, we can go into a lot.
I do it subconsciously, right? I absolutely hate it when women tell me, well, you know that you don't have to do that. It's just like, that's so misogynistic. I'm like, no. It's called being kind to a person.
Right. And
I was taught to be kind to people.
And trying to be chivalrous is like a double-edged sword.
Yes.
So, you would show that kindness to anybody.
Yes.
But if someone perceives it, that you're taking away from them, then they want to claim it's misogynistic. But I know you, and it's not. I've been on the shit end of the stick of people claiming chivalry when it absolutely wasn't.
Yeah.
So I can understand where some people are coming from, but there's that tendency to overgeneralize.
Right. And full disclosure, I always got worried, and kind of still do. It's like, is she going to think that I'm just like taking advantage of her? Because I don't want to. Absolutely not. And people are just like, well, you wanted to do that. I'm like, no. Number one, even if I thought about doing that, I have 3 women that live with me that would fucking castrate me over and over.
Right.
On top of being fired, on top of going to jail.
We both believe in consent.
Yeah. Like, I'm never going to do something...
Consent across the board, not just sexual, but like consent across the board.
Across the board.
Like, hey, do you feel like visitors today? Hey, do you feel like talking today? Hey, we don't have to talk about that. Consent across the board.
Yeah. I don't know why this is such a hard concept.
Hey, if that bothers you, I'm sorry. I won't do it again. For anything.
And that's why I've gotten so, like, self-conscious. Not self-conscious. What is the word I'm looking for?
You gotta help me out a little more.
Like, I check and make sure over and over again, even though I know it's okay.
Conscientious?
Yes. Like, I'll sit there, like, Anna will vouch for this. I've like, is this a problem? Am I causing a problem?
You're very considerate.
Like...
And you make sure to ask.
I'd much rather annoy someone because I'm considerate than to annoy them because I'm a dick.
Yeah.
Then
you're steamrolling over their wishes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's really that type of thing that I can never do. I couldn't take advantage of someone. I just don't see why it's such a thing that people want to do. Like, it bothers me in that context.
I think a lot of instances of people being shitty in a variety of ways, it gives them like a power trip.
Yeah.
Say like, a controlling father,
Mm.
more than just protecting your children, that you got a power trip going.
Yes.
Controlling a partner.
Right.
And even someone who's not your partner, like that kind of, hey, I won.
Right.
And that could stem from like some wound in them, but fuck it, it's an excuse, not a reason.
Correct.
So there could be reasons there, but there's no good. There's excuses, but no good reasons.
Correct.
That is my only theory at the moment.
Yeah.
So that's me grabbing at straws, like it's got to be like a fucking power trip.
Yeah.
Or you've got people that are more hedonistic than others. So me, I'm driven by meaning. You give me the option between pleasure and meaning, I'm going to go with meaning.
Right.
You got someone that's real hedonistic, then I would say they're more apt to steamroll over others' preferences.
Mm-hmm.
So just random thoughts. We might need to bring like a third party in here to like, hey, I've got some real opinions about that. So there's an opportunity for somebody to comment in.
Yep. So just as a developing type of thing, do you I guess what would be the thing you now, current Anna, would tell, I don't know, 21-year-old, 22-year-old Anna?
Several things. And when you're young, you get a lot of advice from people, and when they give you advice, it's what they would have told their younger selves.
Yes.
You'll never, ever, ever get the opportunity to have gotten advice from your future self.
Right.
Like, unfortunately, that's not a thing.
Right.
So I would take the first answer that I got. If I was pursuing a goal and I got a no, I wouldn't persevere very much. Now, nah. I find ways around it. I'll ask more. I can ask the same. I have like the balls to ask the same person more than once. To persevere more. And that doesn't sound like a big thing, but it really was.
Yeah.
Really. That I would chase my own goals more. I was depressed very pervasively through my 20s.
I'm still depressed.
Yeah. I'm sure there are so many people that can empathize,
right.
Unfortunately. And, it can get better. And that sounds like a cliche thing to say. But like at the depth of my depression, and I was just being hyper rational and tearing myself apart. That it sounded like almost as inarguable as science. Like, you're so isolated and so meaningless.
Like you would get
and so flawed. And what's the fucking point? And I'm so tired.
Like you would get that type of depression where you would like kind of like how like you watch like a sportscast break down literally every part of a play or something.
Oh yeah.
You would just be like, all right, so you can't do this. And I think you're pretty much a loser at this. And right here, notice that you're very much of a useless piece of shit in this. You know?
So not only did I know how I felt, I was reasoning with myself, trying to just rationalizing why.
Right.
I really did not deserve to go on.
I've had that before. I had that between the time I was fired from KX to the time I was, employed by A&M again.
And it's a fucking shitty thing when you're trying to get on your feet that you've got that going on.
Like, there were times that...
Universal you.
There were times that I was at the job before I worked where I am now that I did not want to come in. I waited to the absolute last second to come in.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like, I subconsciously did not even give 100%. Like, I gave, a passing grade. Whereas now I would give 100%, 110%, Whereas before that, it was hard. Things would pile up.
Absolutely.
I would just, on top of the pure loneliness, on top of the just insurmountable odds that were against me.
Yeah.
And there were
getting
so many
started
times.
is incredibly rough.
Yeah.
Maybe not for everyone, but I know for me, like, getting started was incredibly rough.
Right.
My first job had to be a volunteer job because I didn't have any experience and nobody was willing to give me a shot at the time. So
I got lucky.
Yeah.
I got real lucky.
So I had a volunteer job for 6 months. Then I got a very shitty paying job where I had to clock out and then go back to work to finish my job. Yes. And then I didn't know when I would be off in the wee hours of the morning.
My first job was at KBTX, $5.15 an hour.
I probably made, in that area. Because I remember, like, breaking that $6 mark and being thrilled. I think my second paying job, I made $5.65.
Mm-hmm. I didn't even go full-time until I worked at KX.
Yeah.
Like 2.5 years in.
And it's hard not to internalize your dollar amount as your worth.
Right. But it's one of those things that you look back in your past and like look at all the stripes you've been through, and now you look at who you are today and you realize it could have been a lot worse.
It could have, yeah.
But now you have all of that in you because now you know what it's like to be in that point.
Right.
Whether you want it to be or not.
Yeah.
And a lot of times not.
Right.
But you look at yourself now, like I look at you now and I see a person that will not back down from a fight.
Yeah.
Who will stand firm on what she believes in and will bust ass to get what she needs done. That you set a goal and you achieve it. Like I see that in you now.
And I appreciate that. That like makes me
whenever I don't know, when you've
hurt for a long time and then someone tells you that they're proud of you, and it brings tears to your eyes. That has not gone away, at least yet.
No. And you know, and I think...
But younger self did not see any kind of light at the end of the tunnel. At all.
If I had seen you as your younger self, I probably would have been that person that would have been like, listen, I want you to talk to me. Tell me how you're feeling. Let's work through this. You know? Because I've always been one of those that's just like, if I can help one person.
We would have been friends, for sure.
Then I would have known that I've made an impact.
So having actual friends can help you out of that spiral of, you know, destructive thoughts.
And I gotta tell you, I am personally glad that you and I have become friends outside of our professional lives, because I don't think...
There's been a lot of shit in the world, especially the last couple years.
Yes. And I don't think I could have made it through the pandemic as well as I have.
Yeah, that was
you know, I tell people,
weird kind of isolation.
Yeah. I've told people, you know, how lonely I've been. I'm just like, you don't understand. I am you know, it sucked. And I'm aware that we're not alone in that, but like, maybe what we're saying here goes out to somebody and they say, oh, someone's been in a similar situation as me.
Yeah.
You know, if this episode helps anybody, then honestly, I believe I've done my job.
Yeah, I sincerely hope so.
We are running slowly out of time, but I guess final points.
That's a plane.
There's a helicopter.
Oh, it is a helicopter.
Sorry, folks. I'm not editing that out. There was a helicopter that flew over us. We're next to an airport. We're next to Eastwood Airport. But if there is something you could tell somebody,
it's gonna sound real random.
Tell me.
Some of the best advice, and it wasn't really advice, life lesson, whatever, things my mom said that I appreciate. Weirdly, she told me that her 30s were the best years of her life, and you don't hear that often enough, that it's not all fucking downhill.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not age specific, but when you find yourself, it's all worth it in the end.
Right.
That I could have an absolute shit year and I wouldn't lose myself again. It takes a while to get there, and not everybody's on the same timeline.
Mm-hmm.
Your 20s are very probably gonna be very rocky.
If there's anyone who says they're gonna have a smooth 20s, you're a liar.
Yeah.
You will run into shit.
Like, sincerely try to look forward to your 30s.
And it's not me saying, oh, I just want to project that you're just going to have a bad day or a bad decade or anything. It's just like, that's where you are going to learn a lot.
Yeah. I would hate to say that people need to struggle, but it seems unavoidable. It really does.
And sometimes people do need to struggle. Sometimes you have to hit the inevitable brick wall. Some people need to hit that.
Or you won't change.
Exactly. Some people hit it unintentionally, and you either survive, thrive, and move forward, or you flounder.
Yeah. On the other hand, there ain't no excuse to be bad to each other. Like,
right. Absolutely.
You're going to have people fuck you over. Try not to let the world turn you into that.
Correct. It's going to be hard, but you don't want to be that person. No. I can guarantee you don't want to be that person. So, pardon me. But, hopefully our advice has sinked in to people.
Yeah.
Hopefully this podcast episode helps somebody. Mm-hmm. I hope it does. I'm sure Anna hopes it does. But as we slowly run out of time, we always run out of time. We have so much to talk about. You were worried that we were going to have much to talk about.
I did. We start getting off on tangents.
Oh, yeah. But
we're so excellent at talking shit. Like,
yes.
I wondered, like, oh no, if we're not talking shit, then, can we keep the ball rolling? And we did.
Yes. See? I'm proud of you.
Proud of you.
You did a good job. You can do it. See? We're complimenting each other. Anyway, that's it for this episode 0. Because we're not at episode 1 yet, because I don't feel like it. I don't know. If you like to share this around on whatever platform you're listening to us on, I will say that I'm probably going to bring some of the Reading Reddit episodes we've been doing on YouTube into their audio form here on Yes, This Is a Podcast, so that you get that as well. Because it's just us talking shit and judging people on the internet because it's fun.
Join in.
Are we the asshole? Find out.
I'm willing to admit it. Just convince me.
It's true.
I'm willing to change my ways.
We're always here to listen. And if you have a podcast topic you want us to talk about, send me a message on whatever you're going to be able to send a message on. I don't know.
Whatever platform.
I don't know how podcasts work, how they do it. I'm literally flying blind right now. But we'll figure it out. And until next time, don't be an asshole. And watch out for helicopters near you that fly close to your building. Okay? Okay? Bye-bye. Say bye-bye, Anna.
Take care.
Good night. Ah! Warning, the following program is uncensored. It contains strong language and adult content not suitable for children under the age of 18. Listener discretion is strongly advised. The views and opinions expressed on the show are solely of the hosts and guests, and not the opinions of Studio 6.2 Enterprises, J. Jones Live Studios, TKM Studios, the Locked and Loaded Game Network, the Pixel Guys, Texas A&M University, students, faculty, staff, or otherwise. You have been warned. With that in mind, I'm Jay Jones.
I'm Anna Davidson.
You're on Yes, This Is a Podcast. Anna, what are we talking about today?
So tonight we're going to talk about different flavors of anti-science. Just to name a couple, anti-vaxxers, climate change denialists.
Yes.
People that want to take anecdotal evidence over peer-reviewed science. So.
Yeah.
Where do we want to start?
Well, I guess we should start, with the 800-pound gorilla in the room.
The COVID vaccine?
Oh, yes.
All right.
I guess we could talk about vaccines in general, but yes, the COVID vaccine would be the most recent one.
Right. I've done a little bit of reading on this, and you'll find otherwise reasonable people who are afraid to get this vaccine because it had a shorter rollout than other vaccines. But if you think about how this response is different from other vaccines, it starts to make sense.
Right.
So you had no shortage of volunteers to test it.
Mm-hmm.
You had nearly every country in the world trying to contribute to this body of science.
Yes.
We're already familiar with diseases in the SARS family.
Yes. What bothers me the most about this, and I guess bothers me a lot about people who deny vaccines, is like, we're part of a living, breathing science experiment, right?
Yeah.
Like, if you ever want to know what's happening behind the scenes in a lab, what has been covered in the news throughout the entire pandemic is what scientists go through daily.
Yes.
And so it's just now on a public scale, on a global scale that is being covered a lot more than any other time, which means there's more transparency, which
Correct.
means that we have a treatment for it. So it bothers me that people continue to deny something that has gone through its trials, that has gone through everything that it's supposed to have gone through, but you still don't believe it.
Right. And all the things that people are willing to put into their bodies.
Yes.
But this vaccine is not one of them. So
I'm willing to put this Pepsi Max or this Pepsi Zero that you can't see, but I am drinking it. Oh, let me go. Here we go. I'm going to drink it. I drank it. And it has a lot of ingredients in there. Have you actually read the ingredients on these things? Allow me. Carbonated water, caramel color, phosphoric acid, aspartame, potassium benzoate, preserved freshness, caffeine, natural flavor, asulfame, asulfame, potassium, citric acid, calcium disodium iota to protect flavor, Panax ginseng root extract, phenylketonuria contains phenylalanine.
correct. So that is something that people can have a reaction to.
Yeah.
It's rare. And
I don't know what any of those words are.
yeah, so you actually brought up
Oh my God.
a parallel point that in very isolated circumstances, you're going to have to do a cost-benefit analysis of, is it worth it to risk getting the virus versus a potential reaction to it?
Yeah. And the thing is
and that is real. I don't discount that.
Like, look at the Johnson & Johnson vaccine. Ooh. See, that's my side effect. I burped.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, right? Like, they had 6 per million out of these 7 odd million shots. 6 people were the victims of blood clots.
Correct.
And they paused it.
Which I commend them for their transparency.
Out of abundance of caution.
Right. And everyone who is trying to...
It was a rarity.
Yeah, be transparent about all of the side effects.
Right.
And from my layman perspective, I have heard repeated reports of blood clots being associated with actual COVID. But, I've also heard that these were rare blood clots, so they may or may not have been directly a result of the vaccination. But you got to consider the frequency with which these happened.
Yeah, and it's just,
there were a handful of people in Norway who died right after they had the vaccine, and then people are trying to make sense of it. So I'm sure people immediately around these elderly ladies and gentlemen were very concerned with good reason, but it was pointed out that setting off the immune response with the vaccine, it can cause fever, fatigue.
Yeah.
These people were already fairly sick.
Yeah.
So the consensus was that the vaccine actually did push them over the edge. And it's good to know that. And I don't discount people that have died after getting the virus. That's really unfortunate. That's part of the actual truth of it. But they are very, very seldom.
And let's go back to an earlier point that people were making before we had the vaccine, right? Like, everyone was, those science deniers, they're always like, well, the survival rate is about 99.9%. Which is funny, because I can do a calculated percentage, and it was actually a little bit lower than that. But still, that's hundreds of thousands of people.
Correct.
As I think our count is as like 500 some odd thousand. Like, the death count has slowed down because of, wait for it, a vaccine. Like,
I'll also be morbid. The communities that it ravaged,
yeah,
it's over and done with for a lot of people. Now, that's not to say you can't catch it again. You can. But, urban centers, New York City, getting ravaged early on. It made its way through. Like, the wildfire happened there.
Yeah.
So any spikes in the future would be smaller.
Yes. And you think about it, yeah, we shut down to the point where Times Square was dead. Like, dead.
And neither
like,
you nor I
dead.
want to see those kind of shutdowns happen.
However,
if people were taking more personal responsibility and just small preventative measures, really, like, a mask is not much to ask if it helps keep a business open.
Speaking of masks, open. Like, why? Why were we politicizing this shit?
Is this the hill they're willing to die on?
Yes. I'll tell you, I've been wearing a double mask since January. And do I hurt from it? Is my breathing ability reduced? No.
Everything with COVID and private businesses, I try to argue that it's the same as other health measures. So there are health inspections. You are expected to wear gloves when you handle food.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same concept. And it's a very common sense concept that you associate doctors and surgeons with wearing masks when they do surgery. And you know why.
And you got to think, doctors and surgeons, they can wear those for 12, 15, 20 hours at a time.
Correct.
Like,
now,
non-stop.
Granted, masks suck in the summer heat outside.
Absolutely.
But you can also, you're more likely to be able to take them off outside if you're not, within close proximity of someone else.
Like, It's so sad.
And the extents that people will go to poke holes in the whole mask argument. Like, we expel saliva spray, droplets and spray. Mm-hmm. We don't expel aerosol. God help us if we expelled aerosol.
So there was a video, and I encourage everybody to check it out. There is a video done by the slow-mo guys. And you know they use like these really expensive slow-mo cameras, right? So they were like, what does the human mouth look like when we're talking, when we're coughing, when we're sneezing? And for some people it may be gross, but it's quite fascinating to see all of the particles that come out of your mouth just by me talking right now.
Yes.
We, of course, can't see it 95% of the time, but think about that.
And we're not going to get... And then
they showed it with a mask on, and it was dropped significantly.
The only point is that it's significantly better. Not perfect.
No one is going to find a perfect solution.
Better. Unless we're all going around wearing hazmat suits. Like, this was supposed to be a very modest proposal. People were losing their shit. You can wear whatever mask you want with an American flag printed on it.
Express yourself. We gave you an extra option to express yourself.
And I know the loops aren't always comfy, but, there's so many people doing it that...
I fucking wear gaiters.
There are all these different styles, different suggestions. One day I got to the point where I used hair clips instead of letting it rest on my ears.
There you go.
So there are things out there, where you're allowed to wear a face shield. Go ahead and wear a face shield.
No. But see, if you do that, that's just letting the government, take over you because they're saying that you have to do it.
Oh, it's just virtue signaling.
Even though no one said you had to, but it was a great idea so we don't spread a virus that is literally killing people.
Correct. And so I bring it up a lot, but you and I being libertarian, we are absolutely for personal freedoms. But we also care about the consequences of our actions.
And I know we're talking about science deniers, but this is why it's called an ADD for a podcast. It brings me to the point of shit. What was I going to say? I'm sure I'll remember.
It'll come back up.
But yeah,
But we believe in science, and
yeah,
I'm of the generation being raised on Bill Nye, Beakman's World, Captain Planet. Come on, guys, and
who can deny?
Let's try to shoot some holes in some conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
Do you really think every country in the world could possibly collaborate on something that was a conspiracy? Would they possibly even agree on one thing? I really doubt it.
They can't.
We can't fucking agree on anything.
The European Union and Britain can't agree on keeping the euro or letting Britain keep the pound. You really think that we can agree on certain things? Come on.
That's my biggest one is, you think all these countries would really conspire together? No.
Come on. Really? Come on.
Science is the one, let's call it language, across the world.
Mm-hmm.
It's, whether you believe in it or not, it's still there.
Yes.
It's still verifiable, time after time, experiment after experiment.
We can deny that the sun is up and it circles around the world, and around the world circle. Wow. I was saying something poignant and it came out horrible. Our Earth spins around the sun every 365 to 366 days.
Mm-hmm.
While as we are rotating, we see the sun every 24 hours. We can deny that. We can deny that the sun exists. But it's going to exist. There's something bright in the middle of the daytime that exists. You can't deny the sun. It's called science.
Right.
And the thing that I almost somehow forgot, but I remember now, is like, we're always trying to cancel things.
Okay.
Like, so many things we're trying to get canceled. I'm just like, no, it's not cancel culture. It's consequence culture. And so as you were saying, you know, libertarians understand that, yeah, we love our personal freedoms, but we realize there are consequences behind our actions.
Exactly.
And so, like, I hate it when people are like, oh, that's cancel culture. I'm like, no, it isn't. It's not. Well, they canceled so many Dr. Seuss books. Name them. Go ahead, name them.
If they were so important, name them by name. And it was
Tell
the
me.
publisher's decision.
That right there is a executive decision by the family of the man who made those books.
I also don't put Dr. Seuss on a pedestal anyway.
Yeah, like, or the potato head scandal, if you can call it a scandal.
It makes sense to have one potato.
Like, that's called, wait for it, capitalism.
Having one potato is smart.
Like, why have two different potatoes for two different genders when you could have one potato and you can decorate it however the fuck you want?
It's not a person, it's a potato.
Yeah, it's a fucking potato. Like, get your fucking sand out of your vagina. Excuse me, vulva.
Vagina. Well, it depends. We've had this
taught me
conversation.
about this.
I know. So, you sit down in some sand. That's sand in your vulva. But it is possible.
Dr. Anna has taught me things.
To get sand in your vagina. That would be much worse.
Ooh.
Much worse.
Can you imagine that?
I actually could imagine that.
Have you ever had that happen to you?
I have not.
Okay, good.
I have not had sand make it that far. But speaking of science, sand is just tiny cubes of glass. So,
oh. How dare you tell me about science things?
Yeah.
It's true.
Right.
But back to science deniers. Like, what about climate change? You know, there's no climate change. Humans aren't effectively changing what's happening on Earth. Come on.
So, there would be a motive for denying actual science in that, hey, you're trying to shame us.
Mm-hmm.
You know, shame people out of their personal decisions. And I think the major lobbyists of it are, you know, in the energy industries.
Mm-hmm.
But your everyday people that pick up with these theories and run with them and identify with them, they just get this feeling that we're trying to tell them what to do.
Mm-hmm.
And shame them for their decisions. No, it exists no matter how you feel about it.
Right. Like, I don't know. It bothers me that people have this idea that there's going to be like some sort of climate change, or there's going to be some sort of event that we know is going to happen. But far be it from us to think that humankind isn't a part of the reason that it's happening.
Right.
You know.
So I'm not against big trucks. There are just smarter ways to do everything.
I'm against big trucks. I hate big
feel there are smarter ways to do everything.
Fuck big trucks. Anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You know, like, we're excited for electric vehicles.
Shit, I want a Tesla right now. Kidding me?
Yeah. So I'm really excited.
Imagine when they become actually affordable.
I'm excited about solar power, like personal solar panels for your house. And then also electric vehicles that you can run your home utilities off of.
Like, my house is powered by the sun? Awesome.
Right. But you could use your vehicle as a generator. That happened for the snowpocalypse. People were using their big Ford trucks as energy sources. And there's a Nissan Leaf that can operate like a generator for your house for an entire day. That's amazing.
Just imagine.
And that's still a car. That's not
right.
That's not pushing that you have to be a granola hippie in every single area of your life.
No, exactly.
You know, any changes forward is helpful.
It's so sad to me that we always, I think what it comes down to is that science deniers always link towards political action.
Okay.
Like, let's think about that. Like, look at what Trump-era policies decided to remove from Obama-era policies.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, being removed from the Paris Climate Accord.
Yes.
Or
removing protections for certain areas of land.
And how many times did you hear the clip of Trump saying, well, these wind turbines, they're hurting the birds. Look at all the birds. They're hurting them. I'm just like,
yeah, there are some birds that are killed. Like, can we come up with a solution for that?
I'm sure we could come up with a solution instead of just saying, nah, fam, let's not have them.
Right.
Or, they're fucking birds.
Yes.
Last I checked.
Right.
Birds ain't going extinct anytime soon.
Yeah.
As far as I know. And how many bird-related deaths are there with solar, or wind-powered
It's been quantified.
Turbines?
Yeah, there have been studies.
Or, fine, you don't want that? Get solar. You know, there's a reusable energy source that we have that's always going to be there. And it's ever expanding, by the way.
Correct.
I don't know if you know this, but it's called the sun. I didn't know if you knew that.
I am in love with the idea of solar energy.
Like, just imagine how much better we would be running. How much less dependent on fossil fuels and all that stuff. Stuff that's coming from the earth that has a limit. Let's not forget that point. The stuff that we mine and drill for in the earth has a limit. The sun, wind power, guess what? They ain't going anywhere.
Correct.
Ever. Like ever. And let's go back to the snowpocalypse, right?
Okay.
For those of you who are not familiar with, if you're not in Texas, you probably have no idea what the fuck we're talking about, unless you do. But it also happened in many other states in the South. But it really happened in Texas. And what happened was, Texas is on its own energy grid. Because Texas. And so what happened was, tons of people lost power.
During sub-zero temperatures.
Like,
for many, many hours, if not days at a time.
And here's the big thing about that. Like, yeah, people suffer brownouts and outages every so often.
Rolling
but
blackout. It was supposed to be a rolling blackout where you were down power 30 to 45 minutes at a time. No, Me personally, 6 hours at a time.
Like, I think we're on a hospital grid, so there's no way that energy is going to turn off.
Right.
We were lucky.
You'd be last.
We were if it were gonna very happen. Fucking lucky.
Yeah.
Like, I asked a lot of my coworkers, a lot of my friends. They're just like, yeah, we lost power for X amount of hours.
My hot water line froze, even though we were leaving the water to drip.
And I feel lucky and bad at the same time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, if people want to sit there and say, oh, well, just because it happened once, it's not going to happen all the time. No. Not believing in what the weather can do to an energy system fucks you over in the end.
Correct. So it may have been a 100-year storm, but we're going to have...
Who's to say this doesn't happen again?
We're going to have a variety of 100-year storms. We're going to have a 100-year freeze. We're going to have a 100-year hurricane.
Yes.
We're going to have all these different... 100-year flood.
Yes.
And you
100-year tornado.
Right. You got to take all of those into account.
Yes. Like, who's to say in the next 2 to 3 months we don't have a fucking Category 5 hurricane hit all the way through the state of Texas, and followed behind that are a bunch of F5 tornadoes that come through and hit the power grids right where it hurts.
So it never hurts to have a contingency plan.
And it's just like
do the best you can.
No one's going to
study it.
And what people don't realize when they deny these
fingers,
exactly.
Just study it.
Like, what people don't realize is that when we deny science, these consequences are dire.
It'll come back and bite you in the ass. Like,
you think it's fine to deny whatever it is that you're denying.
Dismantling the epidemic team?
Yes.
Oh.
That came back and bit us in the ass.
We got some karma on that one.
Because karma is either a lovely lady or a bitch ready to kill you. Yeah. Which, in this case, killed 500,000 plus people in this country.
500,000 not available to comment.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. Like, I don't think people understand the gravity of the situations that we put ourselves in when we continue to deny science.
Until it's at your front door.
And that's the harsh reality. It comes across in many forms, Like,
with so many people, it was at their front door. It was at my front door.
It's like, we're coming in, motherfucker. And for anyone to sit there and say, oh, we're gonna be fine. We're not gonna be hurt. Nothing's gonna happen. Fine, you won't, but someone else might. Fine, you may be asymptomatic and not feel a thing, but she might die.
Correct.
Like, I just don't understand it. Why is it so hard to deny things, to accept the reality that you live in, do the measures that help us get out of where we are now, and then you could go back to living your normal life.
Right.
We wouldn't be in this pandemic as long as we had Trump done something at the beginning. And I know a lot of people are going to hear me right at this point, and they're going to say, well, Trump, he absolutely did something. And I'm like, no, he didn't. He straight up on tape said that he,
knew the risks.
He knew what was happening and let it happen.
And
you can't tell me this is not something that
all of his followers that eat his words up.
Yes.
He didn't step up as a leader and tell them what he knew. The hypocrisy in this.
Absolutely.
So all these people don't trust the government, but meanwhile,
he doesn't tell you Trump.
Absolutely, and defend
like a
him
god
to the end. But he knew more than you did, and you accept that.
That's the biggest problem.
No matter what he did, it was always justifiable.
Yes.
So, who's really contributing to this distrust of the government?
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right.
And the thing about science is that science is fuck around and find out.
And, it literally is.
And they were finding out in the public eye for the sake of transparency. Did they know everything beforehand? No, we weren't.
Of course not.
No, they were figuring it out on the fly.
They were fucking around.
But they were being transparent about it.
It's how science works.
Now, I'm going to say that yes, because there are patents on medicine, that there are many instances in which pharmaceutical companies are not that forthcoming.
Right.
You know, from what I see, they are this go round.
No one's perfect. None of them are perfect.
You know, we could have a side debate on whether or not there should even be a patent on this, or you know, for the good of mankind, like the polio vaccine, just drop the patent. Let this be, you know, free to the world. But
yeah.
Anyway, they were figuring this out with the help of every relevant scientist around the world. And none of it was polished or, you know, edited. It was just an ongoing effort.
And here's the thing about it. What if we did wait a year, 2 years, 3 years before a vaccine came out? Can you imagine how much worse this pandemic would have been?
What India is going through right now.
Exactly. Imagine what India is going through now happened to the U.S. times 2.
Where we have this super contagious variant and it's all over again.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's COVID with a revenge.
COVID's like, oh, you trying to get rid of us, huh? And then COVID's like, all right, fam, give me my beer. I'll fuck you up again, you know? And you know, I don't know.
There's this machismo around, oh, I'm healthy enough to survive it. Are you going to so undervalue other people's lives that have any kind of compromised immunity? It badly affects people with diabetes. You know, do they not deserve...
I just realized the point.
A little bit of protection? You know, like, is the inconvenience of you wearing a mask not worth helping thousands and thousands of people that have any kind of underlying condition? And it doesn't mean that these people with underlying conditions are ready to die.
Yes.
They were living perfectly fine lives before COVID.
Right.
These were not people on their deathbeds that just were nearly there.
And COVID kind of said, here you go. Like, and that's why I said, like, I'll be completely honest. I originally, like, didn't like the whole mask thing. I was like, I have to wear a mask and all that stuff. Like, the initial, like, of it. And then I slowly realized as I did research, this shit is effective. Mm-hmm. And then I realized as I started seeing more people that I know being infected. Yeah. Like
people who were otherwise very, very careful. When it got to the point of people who were otherwise really, really careful to avoid this and they still got it.
Like, you know, and it makes it, and that's why I started losing sympathy for people who straight up denied it. Like, I got to the point, I'm at the point
still them. I'm just like, if you're not going to actively protect yourself from others for the sake of other people that you may live around with, and those people you live around with become infected, even though you're asymptomatic, and they are in the hospital or worse, I have no sympathy for you because you could have helped prevent that.
Well, let's take death off the table. Like, just say it really is a really bad flu. Are you really wishing that on everybody? Can we not get off our asses a little bit to prevent somebody from going through a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks of having difficulty breathing? You ever had difficulty breathing?
Long-lasting with COVID-19.
They can be. They can be
people
permanent.
A year later are still dealing with the aftermath.
Right.
And so I'm not going to sit here and let people be like, oh, well, you're just fear-mongering. No. Number one, you tell me that I'm fear-mongering, you don't know what the fuck fear is. Like, you don't.
Me, myself, I was asymptomatic. Didn't have a headache. Nothing. And I still continue to care about people who might come down with it badly.
Exactly. I was lucky to never have it.
Yet, because we don't know.
Yet.
I might come down with it again and maybe catch a variant.
Right. And so, what does it hurt to get a shot? What does it hurt to get a mask or put a mask on? What does it hurt to stay 6 feet away from somebody? What does it hurt to do that? Had we stuck with those things, we wouldn't be at the point we are now.
Right.
I don't think we would even be close to the point we are now. But no one listened.
There are some of us
to repeat itself.
Doing all the work on a group project. You got a few.
Yes.
A few of the kids are doing all the work on a group project.
Wow, that is perfect. That is a perfect analogy.
And then everybody who's denying the science has got their heels up on a desk.
Yes.
Well, I'm going to do what I want.
Oh, this is such a perfect analogy. Like, I didn't think about it like that, but then you brought it up. It's like, yes. Think about it.
Right.
We're the nerds trying to get everything done.
Yeah.
And they're the jocks or whatever just sitting there. I ain't gonna do it. I ain't gonna do it.
No, I'll pass the class anyway.
I'll pass. I got a scholarship, whatever.
Yeah. They'll either do it for me or I'd pass the class anyway. So that's all the people that are saying, well, it's not going to kill me. You really don't know.
Yeah. Exactly.
And if your circle is so small that you don't have a grandparent, somebody that does have an immune condition, somebody who's diabetic, somebody with a lung impairment, if your circle is so small you don't even have the elderly in the picture, then I feel bad for you.
Yeah. Like, I just don't understand.
In this country, we don't value the elderly anyway. Had this disease targeted children, totally different response. Oh my God, save the children.
You are so right.
We undervalue the elderly.
We do.
As well as people that have health problems like...
diabetes. Population control.
Only the people with health problems that are going to die. Did they deserve to die? What the fuck did they do?
Yeah.
Can we please have a disease that wipes out child molesters? Please.
Oh, fuck yes.
But no, I'm sorry. It doesn't work like that.
Yeah, exactly.
This is not something... It's not a punishment from God because, hey, bring it.
No, see, God is helping us. See.
I know the whole wheat with the chaff. I know. I've
full sarcasm.
I've heard all the songs. But this is purely a contagion. It's not political. It's not religious. This is science.
Like, the virus doesn't give a shit if you're left-wing, right-wing, a libertarian, black, white, Hispanic.
So someone dies, who are you going to call? You're going to call for an autopsy. You're not calling the chaplain.
Exactly.
To figure out afterward what happened. How did this happen? Like, how were they living their life? No, you call for an autopsy. This is purely health related. That's it.
This isn't political. This isn't religion. This is none of that. Your health is at risk.
Right.
I mean, I don't know how much clearer we have to make it. Mm-hmm. And this goes with any vaccine, like,
Like, I can understand having some hesitancy about how quickly this rolled out. If that's the case, still, there's these measures about social distancing and mask wearing. It's not going to... people do poke holes in the mask thing, too, like, oh, it's going to make you sick. Wearing a mask that's what's going to hurt you.
Oh, man. Oof. Oh, man. If that's the case, man, I should have been dead months ago.
Right.
Like, people try to poke holes in everything, and it's sad.
And if you're going to work that hard to poke holes in it, do some science for the public good. You want to be a scientist? Let's go.
It's like, if you don't agree with that science, why don't you be a scientist and see if you can prove those scientists wrong? Because I bet you can.
You want to die on that hill that a mask is actually worse for your health?
Good. Go be a scientist.
Prove it. Go do peer-reviewed science instead of just spouting opinions.
And this is where,
I don't follow the peer-reviewed journal of Facebook. You don't get your science from a meme.
No, not at all. Like,
and heaven help everybody with lupus, because there was a run on hydroxychloroquine. And if you believe
it was great,
that would help people, please prove it. Please.
Right.
If vitamins blah 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 would help strengthen your immune system, please prove it.
Where the fuck is your proof?
You want to dip your toe in science? Jump in.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, you want to deal with that? Don't just sit there and go, the water's okay. Nah, you fucking jump in there and swim like a motherfucker. That wasn't the best analogy, but you get my point. Like, I just don't get it.
Try to find some solutions instead of just bitching.
Exactly. And this all comes around.
Like, you think the rest of us are not stuck in the same boat?
Yes. You don't, like...
Except we're taking it more seriously and actually, didn't go visit family for the holidays. And
yeah. I'll be honest.
The people who are taking it seriously have it the hardest.
Yes. How many times have I come over here and I talk to you and I was like, Anna, I feel so fucking lonely right now. But
we're coworkers anyway.
And it's just like, and how many times was I glad that you didn't go like, well, don't be so lonely. Go find friends. Instead, you're like, okay, what's going on? It's just like, when people use bullshit science.
If you're going to use bullshit science, expect to be called out on your bullshit.
Yes. It comes down to, like, if you're going to make bullshit, you better back it up.
Right.
Or we will call it out. That's basically what it comes down to, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you're gonna fucking come at me with some bullshit that, oh, this has happened, or this has happened, or this has happened, your sources better not be Fox News, OAN, Newsmax, and, like, the Daily Caller.
Right.
Your facts better
Plus
come
Facebook
from...
memes.
Yes. Your facts better come from reputable scientists with peer-reviewed studies about actual scientific facts that have been tested and proven.
Right.
And if you can't do that, I don't fucking trust you. Like, you can't tell me that you know everything about what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Just like the people who thought that 5G was in the vaccine.
Like, really? I'd love to see that technology.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Can you possibly make that kind of technology fit through a needle? I'd love to
Do
see
you
it.
know how many
Someone
people
would have monetized it already, people.
Are you kidding me? I fucking would have banked on that shit. Oh, I'm my own personal 5G hotspot? Hell yes! I would have perfect reception every day. Man, like, oh, you're being tracked by Bill Gates. Dude, I'm being tracked by Google. Really? You really think I care?
Right.
I, unlike you, have nothing to hide. Because I'm smart enough to know stuff that I don't put on the internet, I don't put on the internet.
I agree.
Like
that's how I handle privacy too.
It's sad how many weird, stupid excuses people will make for any type of science, you know?
Right.
Or how many times did we hear, well, it was the Chinese virus that was colluded with the Americans so that we could cause a global pandemic. That's what they did. It was caused by the Democrats. Democratic hoax. That's what happened. Those stupid Democrats.
Like we're trying to keep the country shut down for longer.
Oh, yeah, let me tell you. Whoo! Man, I'm so sick of being around people. I love being lonely. I love thinking about why am I here on this earth.
Shuttered.
Ugh. Who gives a shit about them getting paychecks? Let them all starve, I say.
Right. Let them eat cake.
Come on. We're going to play survival of the fittest here. This is Hunger Games, bitch. Yeah, because that's what we were totally thinking. Like, come on with that. Come on. Like, you know, people are going to make comments about... And you know what? This is where I'm going to say, I'm not going to deny your free speech. Oh, shit. Did you say that out loud?
I agree.
I'm not going to deny your free speech, but if you got something to say, you better back it up.
You know, I'm all for everyone's freedom of speech. Expect a response.
Yeah. Like, when I say shit, I expect a response.
I don't want it one-sided. I don't want it suiting, you know, one half the argument. It's a free-for-all. Free speech is a free-for-all.
When I put opinions on Facebook or Twitter or wherever, and I get an opinion about it that's opposite of what I feel, I expect it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't put it there just because I want everyone to believe me and be right. Be like, oh, you're right, Jason. Oh, you're right. Now, some people will agree with me, but if you don't agree with me, I will back up my statements.
Correct.
If I fuck up, I will own up to my mistakes.
And that is what science does.
You know? Like, if science makes a mistake, they're going to fucking tell you.
There's that spirit of revision.
That's the point of when science is doing its thing, it's going to fuck with it and then figure it out.
And you're going to find things where you don't expect it. So you find solutions to somebody else's problem.
Right. And it's just like, some people are just like, well, but what if you were wrong? What if they were wrong about masks? Oh my God. Then we were just abundantly cautious for nothing. Oh no, I wasted 5 minutes of your time. Oh dear. Ugh, forgive me. You know what? Fuck it. We're going to get rid of Disney Plus. We're getting rid of HBO Max. Hulu and Netflix, you don't need them. Go to the theaters like a normal person. Buy a DVD. You know.
I still buy DVDs and VHS.
Yeah.
I've bought VHS recently.
Some people don't know what that is, Anna. Oh. Yeah.
Look it up.
I need you to search that. And then people, well, that's the point I want to point on. When we say go research it, and yeah, a lot of times we use the term Google it. People are like, well, Google may be hiding the results or whatever. Fine. DuckDuckGo, Bing, AOL, Yahoo. There are plenty of... Dude, I could give you a list of search engines you can use that don't muddle up the results if you're that concerned about Google.
True.
Like, don't fucking come at me with this bullshit argument. Mm-hmm. Like, your argument is invalid because I can prove you wrong.
Right.
You know? You know,
where do we go from here?
You know, it makes me wonder what else people will deny, you know, just to fit their own
narrative,
you know. What are people really willing to deny?
Right.
And it's sad that we've come to this point here in 2021. As I've said before a million times, we have this vast, ever-growing resource called the internet, but we barely use it.
Right.
We barely use it to look up the science that these scientists have spent hours, days, and years working on.
We're going to disparage somebody with 30 years in the field, you know, top expert in their field, because we feel differently.
Just think about that situation for a second. Dr. Anthony Fauci comes out there and says, well, if we wear masks, he doesn't sound country. Well, if we wear masks and keep ourselves socially distant, then we can lower the spread and keep it from coming out. And make him sound like Obama, but whatever. And then someone comes up to you like, fuck you, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Denying, you know, the decades that this man has put his entire career into.
And that's fine. You want to discredit Fauci. Look at all the other scientists who have that same kind of career.
Look at every other epidemiologist who probably is agreeing with Dr. Fauci.
And let's specify epidemiologists, you know, not, oh, well, my county veterinarian thinks this. You know, make it relevant.
Exactly.
Someone in the field, and compare hundreds if you want.
There's thousands of resources.
Right.
And we barely use it.
Right. Because people don't care. They don't care to.
Exactly. Abso-fucking-lutely. And it's sad.
Right.
So sad.
What do we know? We're just virtue signaling.
Fuck we know.
It's not like we're even Democrats.
Ugh. Oh. God forbid, man. Oh, excuse me. Better not use God. You know, it's so sad that we've come to this point. Here we are in 2021. And all the things that we've talked about. This is history repeating itself. Because we didn't learn from the past.
There's a lot of history that people should brush up on. But really, are you really going to wait until it's applicable to you before you give a shit?
It's kind of sad that would be the case.
Because in this kind of political climate, hey, tough shit. No one cares.
Yeah.
You caught COVID and died, well, your immediate family is going to mourn, and then the rest of us just won't give a shit. That's how it's going.
Yeah.
Like, oh, that's sad. I'll send you a card, and then that's it.
That's how sad it's become.
Or, climate change affecting, islands, coastal cities below sea level. Oh, too bad for you. You should have known that.
But you'll do nothing.
No.
It's so sad.
It just the climate of not giving a shit.
Yes.
About anybody until it's you.
Exactly.
And you expect us to cry? Nah. It don't really work like that.
No. Like, those who deny, I'm not giving them the solace when reality hits them in the face.
Right.
Like, sorry, but you kind of had it coming, Yeah. But, as we get close to the 60-minute mark.
And when it comes to science, it will affect you. It's just a question of when.
Exactly. But as we get close to the 60-minute mark, that is what we were going. Those are our opinions. That's how we feel. But we backed it up with facts. So, what do you think? Do you agree with us? Do you disagree? Let us know. I don't know how you can comment on a podcast, or if you can comment. Send us an email. Let us know on social media. Share this around to your friends. And next time we'll talk about, I don't know, why Anna's in love with sparkling water that isn't sweetened.
We could do a podcast about that.
And then I can prove to you that, clear Americans are tasty. Whatever. My point is, we'll be back next time.
Public discourse is good.
Yes, absolutely. You never know. We'll find something we can argue about. We don't argue about much, but we'll argue about something.
This is true.
We're very like-minded individuals. But
that would be a great next episode.
Right?
Something we disagree on.
Oh my god. Then people are like, whoa, y'all disagree on stuff? Yes. But anyway, until then, keep this in mind. Don't be an asshole.
I was thinking the same thing.
Now I'm going to talk until we hit the 60-minute mark and see what happens if we hit the 60-minute mark. Because if we hit the 60-minute mark, it's probably going to shut off. But if it doesn't...
Is this like a gas pump? I hope it stops. Yes. I hope it stops because
I'm out of money.
That? Yes, I have.
Yes.
You're sweating it.
Yes.
Please stop. Please stop. I want every single cent.
Oh, I'm the opposite.
There we go.
I'm the opposite. I will go to like I'll try to get it to an even amount.
Uh-huh.